Masks of the Masquerade by xxImpressions. Chapter 5. So preoccupied with the encounter you just had, you did not stop to think about what awaited you when you returned home. Though you should have probably guessed your mother's reaction would not be one that was pleased upon realizing you were gone, you were prevented from thinking about the potential consequences of your actions due to your latest interaction replaying over and over again in your head. What had he meant by saying his behavior was anything but peculiar? If anything, the confusing feelings he just left you with proved his conduct was quite strange indeed. The nerve of this man. To disparage your mother's name in one breath, then try to claim flattery in the next. While you always conceded to the fact that you had grown up a little more different than most people, you were not so naive as to believe everything anyone said. As you walked back through your front door, you were reminded of another time you took a basic stranger at their word all those years ago, and you refused to voluntarily get burned again for doing so. But the memories stopped in their trek just as soon as you did when you finally walked over the threshold of the door and spotted your mother pacing in the foyer.
Ah, there you two are, so it seems I will not have to send for the watchman after all.
Both you and Sophie paused in the doorway as you took in your mother's words while she continued her uninterrupted walking back and forth. After a few moments of tense silence, you finally turned to your lady's maid and said,
"Why not put those flowers in some water? And after you have, you can be dismissed for the rest of the day."
Nodding with a curtsy, Sophie went off to follow your instructions, thus leaving you alone with the dowager in the entrance hall. Before she was completely out of view, you gestured toward the yellow bouquet in her hands and tentatively opened your mouth to say,
"Lord Bridgerton has bought you some flowers as an apology for his intrusion the other morning."
Has he? And what exactly have you brought to apologize for your impertinence today?
she asked as she abruptly stopped her pacing in order to face you. With a sigh, you tiredly breathed out,
"Mama."
Yes, go on, I'm listening.
"Mother, please. I do not believe I am being rude or impertinent just because I left the house without informing you."
Scoffing, the Dowager Countess replied,
Oh, really? Your father and I raised you to follow the rules, and what? Now that he is gone, you think they do not apply anymore?
In your frustration, your response was a little heated.
"I do follow the rules. You said if I wanted to go out, I must be accompanied by a chaperone. I was. So what more do you want from me?"
Unable to keep from snapping, your mother went on to say,
I want you to understand the precariousness of our situation.
in a pleading tone, you replied,
"But what do you mean by that?"
Heaving a heavy sigh of her own at seeing the plain confusion now on your face, you watched as your maternal figure took a moment to compose herself by raising one of her wrists to rest on her forehead. After putting both hands back by her side, she walked over to you and led you both to sit on the bench that rested next to the closed front door. Speaking in a grave voice, she said,
Your father has done you a great service in leaving you the entirety of his estate, but in doing so, he has pitted you against your cousin, his sister's son, who is now heir to your father's title by law, but not his lands or wealth according to the will. And his father, your uncle, will not stand for it.
Understanding began to dawn on you as she continued while holding your hands in hers.
That is why he stormed out of the solicitor's office at the reading of your father's will. All the money and deeds of property he thought would be theirs was now suddenly all of yours, and this was evidently too much to bear given his hasty exit.
Avoiding your gaze, she swallowed as she pulled an envelope out of the pocket in her dress and then presented it to you.
So I probably should have expected the letter I received today, but I'm still appalled to know he is going to even consider doing such a thing.
Becoming concerned at seeing the tears starting to well up in your mother's eyes, you imploringly asked.
What will he do, Mama?
Taking in a shaky breath, the Dowager Countess gave her regretful reply.
Your uncle is threatening to challenge the will on the basis that you are not mentally fit enough for the responsibilities of your inheritance.
Indignantly gasping, you then went on to hastily open the offered letter in order to read the words for yourself. And sure enough, written clear as day was his threat. Struggling to understand what the implications would be should this threat be carried out, you worriedly found your mother's gaze and said,
But what evidence has he to make such a claim?
As if just speaking the words hurt her, your mother responded.
With your apparent reclusiveness being published in Lady Whistledown, he is claiming that this is proof of your unfit state.
Scoffing because you simply could not believe what you were hearing, you asked.
That is a gossip column, is it not? How does that even equate to evidence?
Seeing the hesitation in your mother's face, you promptingly said,
Mama, what is it?
Realizing there was no longer any way to keep this from you, the Dowager Countess finally revealed.
Because making a recluse out of a woman deemed different is what they do to the women in your father's family. Your grandfather did it with your grandmother when she lost her wits. He then warned your uncle to do the same with your aunt when something similar happened to her after the birth of their son.
And all you could remember in that moment was feeling your heart drop as your mother finished by saying,
Child, he sent her to an asylum, and now he wants to do the same to you. End of chapter 5.